Hey crafters! Welcome to the first Craft With Me video on the Lady Wing Stitches floss tube. So, actually I don't know, I don't know if I should title this floss tube because it's a craft with me. So eventually it might be knitting or otherwise. So it probably won't say floss tube. Anyway, it's on the channel. Yeah, so this is our first craft with me, which it's basically going to be a stitch with me today because I'm not really doing any of my other crafts anyhow. But yeah, so welcome. My name is Zakiya. Today is, excuse me, today is Friday, January 25th, 2019. And yeah. I'm gonna stitch with you guys for a little bit, chat. I have been wanting to do one of these since last week. I really wanted to last week, so it's nice to finally get to sit down and to figure out my setup and everything. But it's, I think it's gonna be well. So I'm recording on my phone. I have like a phone holder thing, and it's got like a bendy like stand in the middle part. I mean, I could point to it, but you know, you guys can't see it, which is what I just did. I pointed to it. Yeah, so I'm recording on my phone and I have my laptop set up next to me because back when I first started watching floss tubes, I happened to run across, I don't know what I searched to come across it, but I found Tricia, the left-handed stitcher. I found her blog. I've never watched, I'm sure she has a floss tube, I've never watched it. I just found the blog. And she has like different posts. Oh, I think I was probably searching for the Know Your Needleworker tag. Which is the first one I'm going to do today, but she has a ton of tags that she took the time to write out the questions for and link the videos that she found them in. And she has a ton of them on her blog. So I said every once in a while, or maybe these first few, you know, whenever I don't really know what to talk about, which will probably be most of the time, I'll just pick a couple of tags and answers. So I figured that would be good for this first one since I don't really want to, I don't know why, I just don't really want to put tags in my regular videos. So I figured a craft with me would be a good place to do that. And some of them I'm sure will have questions or will be like general enough that I can maybe do them for knitting and spinning. When those craft with me's happen, because I'm sure they'll happen. Okay, make sure I'm working on this right. Yeah, I think I already mentioned I'm working on Hogwarts Castle from I Cross Stitch Pattern on Etsy. It is Stitchathon weekend, so it's kind of nice to be starting with this project because last Stitchathon I had a crazy amount of progress. And I've been doing, so I'm using this project for the 90-day, the quarter one 90-day challenge in the Full Coverage Fanatics group. And the premise of this is that is that you pick obviously a full coverage piece because that's what the group's for. But you pick a piece and you work on it. You put in at least one stitch every day for 90 days. And I'm doing good. I haven't missed a day yet. But this week, for sure, the first 2 weeks, basically both of them had page finishes. Three. But this week, I have really been I worked on it for Magical Stitches last week and this week, and other than those stitches, I really have just been doing the bare minimum every day for the 90-day challenge. So that's why it's looking pretty sparse still. I just haven't really been working on this that much. Yeah, I'm feeling kind of lost this week because usually I'm still working on Magical Stitches homework, but I got all of that done by Wednesday, so I think that's also part of why. 1, 2, 4. Okay, there we go. I think that's also part of why I haven't really been touching this piece, because I was using it a lot for Magical Stitches. But like I said, I haven't missed a day on the 90-day challenge yet, so I'm fine. I have already put in a lot of work on this piece, so this month, I mean. Anyway, now I'm just rambling. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna start the Know Your Needleworker tag. And I have 4 of these pulled up, 4 tags. I don't know what we'll get through. We'll just go until I'm tired of recording, I guess. Until I'm tired of talking. So, number 1, where do you live? I live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. For those of you who don't know, I am a senior at the University of Alabama, so I have an apartment off campus. Yeah. 2, what do you do for a living? Being a student is my occupation right now. I do have a job on campus. I work in the football stadium during that season, and then during the spring we have there's a premium area in the basketball / gymnastics stadium, and so I work in that area up there, and then the baseball stadium has suites like the football stadium basically does, so, or not basically, it does. Yeah, so that's what I do during the spring is basketball, gymnastics, and baseball. Yeah. Sorry, I'm counting. 1, 2. You'd think I get some practice from my Instagram live videos of being able to talk and count, but I can't do it on there either, so it's okay. We're gonna get through this. Plus, if I keep doing them, I'll get better, right? Eventually. You would think. Okay. Number 3, do you have any children? Absolutely not. Yeah, that final answer. No, definitely no. 4, do you have any pets? Also no, but in a different tone. I really would love to have a puppy, but, yeah, just a little too busy. Not too busy. I mean, I spend a lot of time in my apartment, but I don't know. One of the big reasons though is the pet fee at the apartment complex. I don't want to have to pay that. So that's the biggest thing, really. Okay, and to make sure I don't stitch past where I need to be. Number 5, what are your other hobbies besides stitching? So cross-stitching is actually my newest craft, hobby / craft there. But it's my newest craft. So when I was a junior in high school, I joined the knitting and crochet club that they had, just because I needed a second club, and that one sounded kind of interesting. So I was like, sure. And then I wanted to do both. So my mom bought, when we went to Walmart, like sometime before the next club meeting, we got yarn, and she bought me a hook and knitting needles, so I had both. And I actually learned to crochet first. 3. And I crocheted a ton, and then I learned how to knit a month later, and I actually didn't, even after I learned to knit initially, I really was still crocheting way more, and then at some point, I think I discovered Ravelry, and everything changed. So for those of you who don't know, Ravelry is, I like to tell people it's basically the it's Facebook for fiber artists. So um, knitters, crocheters, dyers, weavers, spinners. Um, yeah, it's a great place, but it sucks you in, and I mean it's great, you know. It's it's a crafter community and it's nice. But anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably joined Ravelry, and then that's when I was like, oh, I really want to knit. So then I was an avid knitter for years, and recently I've just lost my knitting mojo. So I've been stitching a lot, but I learned how to stitch in last year in 2018. I also learned how to spin last year, how to hand spin. Okay, yeah, so those are my other crafts, and then other hobbies, just general hobbies, Netflix, once a dancer, always a dancer, but I don't really dance anymore. um, and then what else was I gonna say? Oh, I'm a really big music listener, but not like, I don't know. I don't necessarily listen to a lot of new stuff all the time, but I love to listen to a bunch of different things. Pop, R&B, rock. Not really country. I'm not big on country. I had a country phase when I was in middle school, so if it's like a song that I like know from then, yeah, I'll jam out to it. But other than that, no. Yeah, those are pretty much my other hobbies. Oh, and reading. Reading. I'm starting to do more of that this year. I love to read. I used to read a ton. 6, what is your favorite movie? Why did I have to pause for that? So one of them is ATL, as in Atlanta, which has T.I. in it, and the other guy whose name is on the cover, on the DVD cover, I don't remember. Regardless, it's a good movie. And my best friend and I, it's like a thing for us, so we bond over it. So that one, and then also Van Helsing, with Kate Beckinsale and Hugh Jackman. Oh, just, I love that movie so much. I've seen it so many times, like too many times to count. One Christmas, I think it was the Christmas of my freshman year in college, I was at home with my parents, and it came on TV, I don't know how many times, but every time that it was on, I was basically watching, or, I mean, it was on, and I was listening to it, because I've seen it so many times that I don't have to look at the screen, I can just listen, and I know exactly what's happening. But yeah, ATL and Van Helsing, hands down, my favorite movies. Number 7, what is your favorite TV show? Gilmore Girls, period. Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess technically I could have said also for movie Harry Potter, but I feel like that's a given with said project, with how much I'd say the name Harry Potter on my floss tube, or on the channel in general, really. So I think you guys know that. Um, yeah. So I could have said that also. Favorite TV show, like I said, Gilmore Girls. Love it, love it, love it. 8, what is your favorite book? Don't ask me that question. I am not sure that I really have one. Sorry for this super awkward view, guys. Man. Well, I'm not editing this, so sorry. I guess I could have put a sheet down or something. And I have nothing. I literally have nothing to put right here. Oh, yes, I do. Hold on. We're gonna make this less awkward, guys. I'm just going to put a book here. That just seems so much better. You guys can kind of see the, oh man, I can't see where I'm pointing. The crafty corner mess over here. Anyway, yeah, now it won't be awkward. Although now that's not gonna work. Alright, you guys are just gonna have to deal. I can't two-handed stitch with something right there. It's fine. I have on jeans. I have, I'm not naked or anything. I'm not pulling a McKenna. I have on pants, guys. Okay, where were we? 8. What is my favorite book? Don't ask me that. I can't figure that out for the life of me. Again, it stands to say that Harry Potter is obviously included in that. Like, I feel like that goes without saying, but we'll mention it. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many good books that I love. That's just too difficult of a decision for me. 9, what is your favorite music? So I already kind of said, I'm going to do that 2 more times. Okay. So I already kind of mentioned I love listening to a lot of different music. Music has its place. Different music has its, purpose at different times and different moments for me. So it's nice that I listen to a lot of different music. My favorite music, I feel like I would have to say pop. Pop and R&B for sure. Those are the 2 that I definitely listen to the most. So I think that's safe to say. And then number 10, what one word best describes you? I don't really know. I did not think about this one beforehand. I actually don't know. What one word best describes you? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if I think of something later, I'll come back. I won't remember, but I did not think about this beforehand, so I'm just going to take the authority and skip that question because I'm not really sure. Okay, so this next one that I had up is the original cross-stitch tag. Excuse me. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. Okay, so this one has 15 questions, and I think this one is a good intro to the person tag, so I think that's why I pulled this one up. Okay, number 1. How did you start, or who introduced you to cross stitch? I taught myself. Yeah. So I was introduced. Yeah, I think that's safe to say. So back in May of 2018, I was on Instagram. I'd been on Instagram for a while. But most of the community that I was following were knitters, or spinners, because I was already spinning by then. And somehow, some way, I had started following the Witchy Stitcher on Instagram. And, sorry, I couldn't think of her name for a second. I could see her account. Darn it, I messed that up. But I somehow had found Meg, and I was following her already, and then one day she posted, I had been to her Etsy shop, I had stuff saved in my favorites already, but I hadn't started anything, hadn't bought any patterns or anything, and then I saw that, whatever post it was, I guess it was just her showing cross stitch. And then I had to go over to her shop, and I was like, I'm gonna cross stitch today. I'm gonna learn how to cross stitch. And the first pattern I bought was that Stay Home. It's too peoply out there. If you have been following me since then, or for a good part of last year, you'll remember that one. Yeah, so I guess you could kind of say Meg introduced me in a way. 'Cause I mean, really, I just jumped in head first. I was just kind of like, that is gorgeous. I want to learn to cross stitch. And, I messaged Melissa, who is pretty much my best crafty friend, here. But I messaged her and I was like, hey, don't you cross stitch? Like, help me figure out what I need for this. I just bought this pattern and I don't know what to buy. And she was like, sure. She had just gotten off work and I went and met her and I got all the stuff and I came back and I read Meg's instructions on her website. And that was it. So it's been no turning back since. I did sit the cross stitch down for a while because my knitting bug was still happening. Yeah. And then they switched and now I'm obsessed with cross stitch. So that is how I started cross stitching. No one else in my family, well, now my mom cross stitches. My mom, that was also kind of a push because my mom she's more of a paper crafter. She does scrapbooking, planning, all of that stuff. And she eventually wanted to learn how to cross stitch for the front of her cards, and card making, that's the other one I wanted to say. For the front of her cards, she wanted to start cross stitching, and she did. And when I saw her, and she was just doing like more simple things. But when I saw her doing that, I was like, okay, yeah, mom's doing it and I'm not doing it. This is not okay. So that was another push, kind of shove in the back to learn how to cross stitch. Okay, that was a very long-winded answer. So number 2, do you have a favorite theme or designer? I love anything, Harry Potter, obviously. What else? I love anything fall, autumn, because it's my favorite season. Anything with butterflies on it, but that's to an extent. It also depends on like kind of what the pattern is too, because you can have butterflies in like anything. So that I love butterflies, but that one kind of depends. And then favorite designer, not really. Yeah, I mean if I like the pattern, I like the pattern. I don't really have a favorite designer. Number 3, what floss brand do you use? DMC is perfectly fine with me. I love it. I also the only fancy floss that I have, that's what I'm trying to say. The only fancy floss that I partake in is Color and Cotton. Let's see. Okay, sorry. I'm having to look over at my pattern. 4, what is your fabric of choice? 32 count Belfast linen, which is all redundant, being that Belfast means 32 count. But regardless, yeah, I do prefer linen. I prefer it to be 32 count, but if I choose to use Aida for that project, I'll do 16 count Aida because that's the equivalent. Okay, just 2. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I won an auction from Bindi Stitchy sometime at the end of 2018, somewhere in that last half of the year, and it was a full kit from Barbie's Pedal Pusher, and she had coffee tea dyed some 28 count Monaco. It's even weave. Anyway, that's the only even weave I've ever worked with. But I would love to work with that again, because that was really nice. So, okay. Let's see. Number 5. Do you use a needle threader or are you a floss licker? I don't use needle threaders pretty much ever. I do have one now though. I just haven't used it yet. Honestly, I forget that I have it. I did go to floss licking for a little bit because I was having a hard time threading these size 26 needles, but I stopped doing that now. I can usually just get the thread on there by like holding the very tip of it. Maybe I'll finish this. I'll probably finish this thread while we're on here. And if I rethread the needle, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. But yeah, I've just kind of figured out a way that works. But if it does get too difficult with the ends, I'll just lick the ends of them and move on. The less stress, the better. And I'm not going to stress about that. Number 6, what kind of stitching frame do you use? I'm really falling in love with Q-snaps, as you can see. Excuse me. At first I was working in hoops, because that seemed like the thing that beginners did, and hoops didn't really bother me at first. But then I didn't really like the way that it just kept loosening constantly. And I mean, this is still kind of loose too. You guys can see that there. But it's still way better than in the hoop. I felt like I was having to tighten it super often. Come out too. Okay. Sometimes I get to talking and I forget that I also need to be stitching. What was I talking about? Oh, stitching frames, right. So I started out in hoops, and then after I kind of got tired of those, I actually went to stitching in hand for a really long time, because I thought it was brilliant when I saw, well, I think had I tried stitching in hand before? Because I had heard about it a lot on Priscilla and Chelsea. So I knew that I had wanted to try it, but I thought that it was brilliant when I saw Michelle Bindi Stitchy using the needle minder. Like, she rolls up her fabric and she puts the needle minder on that side so it holds the fabric together. And I just thought that was brilliant. I still think it's brilliant. So you guys will know, like, if I'm ever stitching something in hand, that's like the easiest way to tell if it's rolled up fabric and there's a needle minder. Yeah, and then eventually I started this piece, and it used to be on a 11 by 11 Q-snap because I wanted a bigger area. I wanted a good frame for it. Like, I knew I wasn't going to stitch this in hand. Definitely not. But I also didn't want a hoop. Like, I'm pretty much over hoops. So I got kind of like the knockoff Hobby Lobby brand Q-snap, which worked well for a while. But now I get the actual Q-snap brand Q-snaps off of Amazon. And yeah, I think this is going to be it. Eventually, I'm sure I'll get a scroll frame. But, not there yet. Not yet. I would also like a floor stand, but that's another conversation. Number 7, how many projects have you finished? I forgot to look this up beforehand. I know that, excuse me, I know before I did the first floss tube, I had 11. So maybe, I don't know. I've had 2 this year. I think I was at 15 at the end of 2018. So 16 or 17 projects, somewhere around there. 1, 2, 3. I forgot to look it up. before I started the video, and I'm just not going to distract myself like that. 8. How many completed works do you have currently displayed in your home? 0. I have not framed or like fully finished anything. I really need to work on that because I have a lot of finishes and they're all just sitting waiting to be shown off. So I need to get on that. Number 9, do you do more stitching for gifts or keep them for yourself? I rarely craft for other people, and when I do craft for other people, oh my gosh, it's usually my family. Every once in a while I'll make my boyfriend something, but that's about it. I pretty much stitch for me, because I know I'll appreciate it. And my family appreciates it, which is why they're the people that, if I am stitching gifts, it's probably for one of them. Although now that I think about it, I actually haven't stitched a gift for anyone in my family yet. I haven't stitched anything for anyone besides me. I have some patterns that I thought they would love, that I think they will love, but I haven't actually like started them yet. So 10, what is your favorite project or finish you are most proud of? Did I do 1? Okay, so favorite project or finish that I'm most proud of? I would think it would be Adventure Awaits by Caterpillar Cross Stitch, because I just loved working on that project so much, and it's a bigger piece, but it was released as a monthly stitch along, so we got a different continent every month to stitch. It was just so great, and I would totally stitch that one again. Not this soon, but I love Sally's patterns. I need to finish 12 Days of Stitchmas. That's what I need to do. 11. What has been your least favorite or worst experience while stitching? I don't know. Least favorite or worst experience? The only thing that I can think of off the top of my head right now, to keep it from being silent while I try to think, the only thing that pops in my head is like when you are trying so hard to play floss chicken so that you don't have to join another thread for like 2 or 3 stitches, and you think you're gonna make it, and you think you're gonna make it, and you're like, yeah, this is going great, and then you get down to the end of the thread, there's literally nothing left, and you have 1 stitch left. That's the worst. Absolute worst. I hate when that happens. So really it's more of a least favorite. I just don't like it. It's not really a worst experience. 12. What time are we at? Yeah, I'll probably stop it after this tag. 12. What do you love and what do you hate about cross stitch? What do I love? Let's go ahead and get the cliche answer out of the way. The community, right? Doesn't everyone? But I mean, I was just talking to my mom about this yesterday. The Stitchy community is just, it's really just amazing. How close people are, how welcoming they are, how helpful people can be, how motivating. And you know, I saw the same thing in the knitting community, but for me, and maybe it's just because of like where I am in life right now, I don't know. But something about the Stitchy community just is so welcoming. I don't know. Maybe because it was a new craft to me, it felt overwhelming in a way that the knitting community didn't. I don't know. Did that make any sense? I don't know if any of that made any sense, guys. Anyway, so that's a cliche answer. What do I love about cross stitch? How calming it can be. It is so nice to just, oh, hold on, let me figure this out. Up to over one, two, one. Okay. All right, I'm gonna make sure I was in the right spot. It's just so soothing. It's so relaxing. Especially, I think it's nice if I'm just kind of like antsy or upset or whatever. I get to come stab my fabric, and that's literally what I tell people. I need to stab some fabric. But yeah, it just makes me feel better. It is quite relaxing, and I'm excited that it's Stitchathon weekend, which I don't remember if I mentioned at the beginning or not, because this is my third take. The first one was just weird, and I couldn't get the phone to be where I wanted it to be. And the second one, my boyfriend interrupted because he stopped by the apartment, so I just started over a third time. So I don't know if I said it in this one, but it's Stitchathon weekend, and I'm hype about that. So this project needs some love. I've been doing the bare minimum on it this week. So let me backtrack. And this is totally a pause from where we are in this tag too, but whatever. So Stitchathon is a weekend event. It happens every couple of weeks, and it is their events in the Cross Stitch Finish Line group on Facebook. And basically you post starting pics on Friday, stitch on weekend. On Monday you post your ending points, and you track how many stitches you've done over the weekend on whatever projects you work on. And then on Monday with your ending pictures, you put how many stitches you've done, and then for every 500 stitches, I'm sure someone keeps up with it all year, but for every 500 stitches, you get another entry for a gift card at the end of the year. So that's kind of nice. Oh, okay, so I said I was going to show you guys this, and I'm going to try to look up at my phone. I don't know if it's going to focus. We're going to earthquake here for a second. I don't know if it'll focus or not. But you guys can kind of see the end of the yarn there. Or, yarn. The end of the floss. So I just like to make sure that it's even, the two strands. Or, you know, as even as it will stay. And then I scoot the end of the floss so you can barely see it. Darn it. Trying to get it. There we go. So you can see the end of the floss, and I just bring that like very barely to where you can see just the edges. And then I just slide it on there. It's a little difficult sometimes. But yeah, it works. It works for me. So that's how I usually get my thread on there. And then, like I said, if I fumble around with that and it completely messes up the ends, I'll just say forget it, and I'll just lick the floss and get it on there that way. Okay, I'm gonna jump back over here. And then where were we in this? Oh, what do I hate about cross stitch? I don't know. I don't like truly hate anything. It is an inconvenience that it's so addicting because I'm not made of money, but I mean really I don't actually hate anything about cross stitch. 13. Have you introduced anyone else? Oh, sorry. You guys are probably getting an awkward leg shot. Yeah, you are. And it's not focused on anything. Here we go. So, okay, there we go. Tack that down. 13. Have you introduced anyone else to cross stitch? No. No, because the other two people that I really, in real life, I mean, that I really talk about cross stitch with, both of them were cross stitching before I was. And that's my mom and Melissa. So not yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Although I will say I will be the person that gets my mom cross-stitching on actual fabric and not on the front of her cards. And she does want to, but she already has so many projects that she wants to do, and you know, she's already got a crazy amount of stuff with being a scrapbooker and a card maker and just a general, whoops, you guys can't see what I'm doing, and a general paper crafter, and that, you know, one more craft to have to buy stuff for and all that. Plus, I think she would want to switch to 25 if she cross-stitched on fabric, and she uses pearl cotton, the DMC pearl cotton for her cards, so I don't know. Because she does have most of the DMC colors, but, you know, if she has to buy them in the 6-strand floss, that's a whole nother collection she has to get. So she would need somewhere to keep that too. Anyway, that hasn't happened yet. 14, what was your first project and did you finish it? If not, what was your first finish? So I'm going to answer both of those because my first project, like I mentioned before, the first time I bought from the Witchy Stitcher, I got 2 patterns, both of which I finished now. But the first one that I started with was Stay Home, It's Too Peoply Out There. So that was my very first cross-stitch start, and I have finished it. I finished it in September, maybe? August or September. May have been August. Anyway, I finished that sometime last year. If not, what was your first finish? Okay, my first finish was... Oh dear. Okay, one second. Good thing I have my laptop pulled up here. Okay, give me 1 second. Like I said, I didn't look any of these up. I'm just going with it. So, truly don't know. Nope, I just passed it. Oh, that's right. So, Stay Home was actually, it was my first start for cross stitch, but it was my second finish. So, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Armada Designs. She's the one that did the class schedule sal for Harry Potter last year. Or Harry Potter themed class schedule sal last year in 2018. But she also does the tiny like seasons or celebrations. So the first one that I did from her was the tiny summer sal last year. And if you follow me on Instagram, you might remember when I was posting about that. About working on that. But that was my first finish, my first cross-stitch finish. I think at the time it had been my most recent start and my first finish. But then, like I said, I finished Stay Home right after that, so it wasn't too far behind. Okay, let's go back to the tag. Okay, one more, and then we'll call it quits. 15, how do you store your cross-stitch floss? Okay, and of course the case is over there, so I'm not going to get up and get it. But I have at Michael's on the bottom shelf, so this is the box that I have for Hogwarts Castle. You can see it has the different slots and everything. That's what it looks like on the side. So at the bottom on the bottom shelf at Michael's, like under the floss, they have these, and they have, I think, some other ones. And then if you keep going down that aisle, like kind of right past the floss, there are these bigger ones. And it's a double-sided case, and it looks like, I don't know why I did that. It has an opening on both sides, is what I mean. So, like, you can open it on both sides. This one, like, it's just a one top. The one that I have, it's much bigger, and you can flip it over, and then you could open one here as well. But I think they're advertised for sewing, like, on a machine. Yeah, but I was like, hey, that would be great for floss, and I can organize them all in there. And I do have some floss in there. It's not organized. But I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to that, because my floss pretty much floats between all of my whips. So, no telling if that'll ever happen, but I do have it. This case that I just showed, Hogwarts Castle's floss is in. I have my floss buddy, which I've showed on the regular episodes. That holds the flosses for my Haid. Other than that, my flosses are either in that big case or they're in a bag with one of the whips. So I'm not super organized, and it is kind of frustrating. Luckily, I can kind of recognize a lot of the DMC numbers, and I'll be, I can look up what color it is and see, okay, maybe I have this, and if I do, it might be in this project. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I need to use that giant sewing box, get organized, and then get a complete collection so I can find stuff. I just need to stay organized. So, yeah, how do I store my cross-stitch floss? I keep it with my whips. Eventually down the line, I would like to get a Floss Buddy Ultra, like Michelle Bendy Stitchy has, the one that hangs on her door in the background. I just think that's brilliant. So down the line, I would love to get one of those. But, yeah, where are we at? We're at 50 minutes now, so I'm thinking this is a good time to stop our chat for the day. So we got a little bit done. I can't remember. I've done a lot with you guys, but you won't have seen all of it because take 3. So until I see you guys again. Oh, I did want to say I will make sure that I put in the description box below a link to both of the tags on Tricia's blog. I'll link to those blog posts. And I'll try to do that every time that I do some of the tags, so that if you guys want to do them, you'll have a link to the questions. So check the description box down below for that. And until I see you guys again, happy stitching. Bye, guys.